Hello and welcome. Today's topic is the blame game. And this topic's been really, really important in my own life. Blame is divisive. And it's also a vote for things to stay the same. I know when I first heard that blame's a vote for things to stay the same, that really caught my attention, because I'm like, well, I don't want things to stay the same. I want them to change. I want them to be gentle. I want to be able to get along with those around me. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting journey, actually, from my days on the Parent-Teacher Association in the children's school. And there was just this whole environment of blame. It's like everybody was blaming everybody else every time anything went wrong. And I ended up taking over as the chairperson, which is something that the little mouse of a person I used to be would have been terrified of. But I think the Bright Paths of Shire's ascension has given me confidence. It's given me an ability to start to trust myself. And so when I took over in that environment, I just went, well, I'm in charge. The buck stops with me. Anything goes wrong, it's my fault. And it just completely changed the entire environment of blame. And, everyone went, no, it's okay. It's not your fault. And I think when we approach it like that and we stop pointing the finger out and trying to make the things that go wrong somebody else's fault, it takes the pressure off everybody. And I think this is really important, because as long as you're blaming people, they're going to be defensive. You don't get a pure communication when you blame people. And it really is a vote for things to stay the same. It's just like you're batting blame back and forth from family members, work colleagues, friends, whoever you're having these interactions with, and there's any blame. And, if the blame's directed at you, don't worry about it. It's just their opinion, their view of how things are going. And sometimes actually when I say, for me, if I've had a contributing factor for something, I'm like, yep, that was my fault, put my hand up, and it's so freeing to be able to do that, to come away from the defensiveness. It's a really opens things up. I remember the first time I started doing it with family. It was a lot harder with family than it was in the Parent-Teacher Association environment. I think we have a really tangled web of energetics and dynamics with family members, and so it can be a little bit trickier. I know for me it's been a lot harder with family members to own up if I recognize that there is something I'm doing that's contributing towards it, and also just actually let's just come right away from the whole idea of blame, actually, and just look about it, just talk about what's going on, and get creative, like what could change, what needs to change. And for me, I think listening has been the most powerful tool in coming past that blame environment, that blame game where we just keep pointing the finger at everybody else and not ever looking closer, because if you look closer, you start to see nobody's at fault. We're all doing the best that we know how. And yes, maybe sometimes there's behaviors, I know for me and myself, but in others too, it's really, really challenging when you're in a dynamic where there's a lot of blame, maybe a lot of anger and aggression in that. I think when blame is in play, it does, in that defensive approach that we all start to have, we get frustrated, we get angry, we can get aggressive, even in a passive way. Passive aggressive can be a very forceful energy. Even if the person doesn't raise their voice, it still can be really unpleasant to experience. And so if you can, get creative, come away from this whole idea of blame and start to listen. What's not being said? Is there any factors that are impacting on this? And for me, nurturing my own experience, prioritizing my peace, looking after myself, has enabled me to come away from blaming others, and also coming away from blaming myself. I often would internalize and make myself the bad guy, like I must have done something wrong. And we've never done anything wrong. Any behavior that we do that's dysfunctional is because we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we're pressured. When you're at maximum overload and the tiniest little thing can trigger you, and you can say the wrong thing, act in a dysfunctional way, but it's not your fault. You need to take the pressure off. in order for it to be different, rather than blame. Blame serves blame serves absolutely no purpose, and it just keeps you locked in the same pattern. It really is a vote for staying the same. So if you want to go past the blame game and have a completely different experience, and open, more honest, authentic connection with those around you, then you do it first, and you'll find that others will start to follow. Whatever you want to receive in the world, I think if you give it fully, listen fully, then you'll find that others start to listen to you. And it just creates space. Listening, it really does create space for the energy to dissipate, so that everything can be a little bit more gentle and open and friendly in the communications. So I found this has made a huge difference in my life, and I hope just the invitation for you to explore this starts to make a difference in your own lives. So if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and if you've got any questions or comments, let me know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Just let me know, and I'll talk in another video about it, or I'll answer you in the comments. But let's have an interaction. Let's explore together, so that we can start to create the world anew, based from purity and from love and compassion. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.